Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial. Have you ever done an assessment, felt pretty good about it, but once you got the results, you realised that you have not done as good as you thought, and you're not really sure why? Well, in this tutorial, we're going to look at 3 common mistakes that students might make that may cost you valuable marks without realising it. We're going to use examples from paper 1, education, the 4 and 6 mark questions, and for each you're going to see a student answer that lost marks, followed by a mark scheme. You may wish to pause this video at any point, have a go at each question by improving the answers and using the mark scheme to check. So here is a quick reminder. On the education paper, there are 2 short questions, 4 and 6 marks. These questions ask you to outline 2 or 3 things. They could be asked about anything: factors, reasons, cause, effects, functions, ways, problems, advantages, disadvantages. For example, outline 3 functions that the education system might perform. Could be a possible 6 marker. Your answers should be short. For each point you are asked for, 1 or 2 sentences will be enough. Start each new point on a new line, and if you're not sure if all your points are right but can think of an extra one, you can put that down as well. This is your reminder about those short questions, so let's get to the common mistakes that students might make. So up first, mistake number 1 is repeating the point that you have made in point 1 in your second point. For example, a very similar reason but possibly with a different example. So let's look at an example from paper 1, 2019. So this question was asking you to outline 2 criticisms of schools selecting pupils by ability. And this answer got 2 out of 4. You may wish to pause it just so you can read through that answer. Now, according to the examiner report, a number of students failed to gain the second mark by either not giving an adequate explanation of the criticism or by repeating the first explanation. And this is what student number 1 did here. They get 2 out of 2 for the first criticism. They successfully identified a criticism. Tests are not based on equality of opportunity, implying that there is some bias, and explain this by stating the social group, for example, the working class, are being disadvantaged to it, and why. Cultural and material deprivation. Now, this second point is very similar because they reference the examination system again, which favours the middle class. That indicates bias once again. This is too similar to point 1 and didn't get any marks. So let's have a look at the mark scheme to see what other points this student could have made. Now, you may want to, at this point, pause and have a go at answering this question. You may want to have a go at improving the answer from student number 1. Join back in when you're ready. Moving over to mistake number 2, this is only answering part of the question. So sometimes the question has 2 parts to it. So to get the second mark, you need to make sure you reference that. So we're going to stick with 2019 paper and we're going to look at our next example. So question number 2 was asking you to outline 3 ways in which the characteristics of school may be similar to the characteristics of the workplace. Okay, so this question is asking you for those 3 ways. And according to the examiner report, many students were not awarded the second mark because they failed to give an example of how the characteristics of school was actually mirrored in the workplace. Student number 2 only gets partial marks for points 1 and 2. They correctly identify that the school teaches values such as punctuality, which is important in both, but they've got to give the characteristic of the school and the characteristic of the workplace. So they needed to indicate that punctuality, for example, will lead to discipline in school, which would be maybe a detention, and in the workplace, it could have been your wages being docked. Secondly, they correctly identify the repetitive tasks. That's similar in school and the workplace. They give an example of in school, lessons and homework, but they've got to tell you an example or a characteristic from the world of work as well. So something like split into meaningless tasks such as stacking shelves or working on a till, and they're not related to each other in the same way. Now, this final point does get the full marks. They get a correct mark identifying the hierarchy, and then they get the correct mark for identifying the head teacher and pupil and teacher in a school is similar, and they give an example again of the boss, supervisor and worker in the workplace. So let's have a little bit of a look at the mark scheme, so then you can see what you could have wrote, and you can do the same again if you want to pause it, have a go at answering this question before we move on to our final common mistake. So this final mistake is a real common one, misunderstanding the question. This is where you read it and think that it's asking for something else. So for here, this 6 marker was asking you to outline 3 ways in which factors within school may shape gender differences in subject choice. Now, you might want to pause it, read through the answer, and it might jump out at you what this student has done here. So there are a few ways this student has lost marks. Firstly, the student focuses on gender and achievement rather than gender and subject choice. There is no indication that the student is addressing the different subjects boys and girls achieve. So they've identified female teachers, role models, and then it's clearly linked to achievement. Same with the next one, introduction of coursework, and you might want to just have a little bit more up-to-date knowledge that coursework has been removed from a lot of subjects. And then we've got streaming and labelling as well. Okay. And secondly, it's also asking for factors within the school. So if the student has referred to any external factors, this will have also lost marks. So let's have a look at the mark scheme and let's see what you could have used. So you may wish to pause this and then have a go at answering this question. So overall, read the question carefully. A good way to make sure that you do this is to bug it. Box the command words, underline the key concepts, and go over it. So as always, thank you for watching. If you have got any questions, please pop them in the comments below. If you like the video, please click like. If you think other people will value it, please share it. And I look forward to working with you again. I shall see you soon. Have a great day.